Kurt Top here, and these are 100 of the craziest archaeological discoveries that scared scientists. Oldest hairstyle. This is an amazing find, a preserved hairstyle from an ancient Egyptian man dating back approximately 3,300 years. The intricate braids are striking in their complexity and excellent state of preservation. In ancient Egypt, hairstyles were of great importance and were often used to express status, age, and position in society. Hair care included the use of oils and fragrances, which also contributed to its longevity. Surviving details like these braids allow scientists to better understand how important appearance was to the ancient Egyptians and the skill required to create such hairstyles. Medieval smartphone app. Did you know that the predecessor to modern smartphone apps was invented in the Middle Ages? It was a volval, an interactive device made of paper that performed many functions, from calculations of celestial bodies to medical diagnostics and navigation at sea. A volvel consisted of one or more rotating paper discs printed with data that the user could combine to perform calculations or find answers. This invention was similar to the astrolabe, an ancient instrument for observing the positions of the stars. The first volveli were created by Ramon Llull of Mallorca, a great philosopher and scientist of the 13th and 14th centuries. Llull called them volvuli after the Latin word volvere, meaning to rotate. He used the subject to resolve religious disputes by unifying different elements of thought and language through complex geometric figures. Volveli were also used to tell time at night, which was important for the correct administration of drugs. In the Middle Ages, volveli were often associated with magic and fortune-telling, but over time they became a valuable tool for the accumulation and generation of knowledge. Today, volveli can be found for educational purposes, demonstrating the historical roots of the principles of calculation and visualization. Lost ancient cities. Archaeologists have discovered ancient cities in the Amazon rainforest where up to 30,000 people could have lived about 2,000 years ago. This was reported in the journal Science. Using ultrasonic LiDAR, a team led by Stephen Royston from the French National Center for Scientific Research explored the area and found many structures and roads underground. Before the arrival of the Spaniards, the Quillamope and Upano peoples lived here. Royston called the site the Lost Valley of the Ancient Cities, emphasizing its exclusivity and importance for understanding the history of the Amazon. The cities found built over a vast area included residential and public buildings surrounded by agricultural fields with drainage channels. Roads connected cities, some of which were 20 kilometers long. Royston notes that local people used clay instead of stone for construction. These cities have existed since 500 BC to 600 AD, parallel to the Roman Empire in Europe, and lasted about 1,000 years. Something unexpected at the bottom of the sea. Off the coast of Sicily, fishermen spotted something unusual sticking out of the seabed, leading to a rare archaeological discovery. In January 2022, the remains of an ancient shipwreck were discovered at a depth of about 70 meters near the Vendicari Nature Reserve. When a team of marine archaeologists dove to the site, they found more than 40 rare Roman amphorae, many of which were preserved in their original positions as if they had just been loaded onto the ship. The amphorae, which are estimated to be between 1,900 and 2,100 years old, are a unique type of pottery known as Richborough. 527. This type of amphorae, with wide mouths, a spiral design, and a pointed bottom, were first found in Richborough, England, and have since been found in Lipari, Italy. Scientists believe that these amphorae were used to transport potassium alum, a mineral mined in Lipari. New Roman dodecahedron. In England, amateur archaeologists have discovered a unique dodecahedron from the Roman era. This discovery, made in a farmer's field in Lincolnshire, is a 12-sided metal figure about the size of a grapefruit. It was found during excavations where Roman coins had previously been discovered thanks to metal detectors. The discovery of a dodecahedron, completely intact and larger than usual, came as a surprise to the excavation participants. More than 100 similar dodecahedrons have been found in northwestern Europe, dating back to the 1 St. 3 RD centuries AD. Typically made of bronze, they have holes of varying sizes on each face and tenons at the corners. The purpose of these objects still remains a mystery to scientists. There are hypotheses that these could be dice, mace heads, sling stones, rangefinders for Roman artillery, or even items for fortune-telling. Amber Bowl. This magnificent amber bowl, which is approximately 3,270 years old, was found in a large round barrow in Hove, England during excavations in 1856. Amber, a material known for its beauty and associated with the sun and life force, was used in ancient times not only for decoration, but also for ritual purposes. The discovered bowl, according to researchers, could have been a high-status item belonging to an important member of society or a chieftain. Creating such a bowl required exceptional skills because amber is a fragile material and working with it requires patience and skill. The discovered bowl shows that people of that time had access to rare and valuable materials, which also confirms the existence of trade links and exchange with other regions. The fact that the bowl was buried with its owner speaks of its significance for funerary rites or belief in the afterlife. Huntergatherer Cemetery. Archaeologists in Brazil have solved the mystery of an ancient cemetery estimated to be 10,000 years old. The discovery was made in San Luis, Maranhão at the Rosane Farm, which has now become an urban archaeological site. 43 skeletons and over 100,000 fragments of artifacts were discovered on the territory, indicating the presence of people in different eras over 8.5 thousand years. The method of optically stimulated luminescence indicated the age of the remains from 7 to 10,000 years, which makes them the oldest in the northeast of the state of Maranhão. Among the finds are the skeletons of adult men and 2 children. The tallest of the dead reached a height of 1.6 meters. Analysis of the bones showed evidence of heavy physical labor, confirming that the remains were those of hunter-gatherers. This discovery opens a new page in the study of the ancient history of Brazil. Underground Oasis in Iran. Hidden in the arid landscapes of Iran lies the ancient underground city of Nushabad, also known as Ui. This impressive 3-story underground complex dates back to the Sasanian Empire. The city was carved into the earth to protect it from invasion and provide a safe haven from the region's harsh climate. Nushabad has a complex ventilation system, water wells, various living and storage chambers, and a labyrinth of interlocking tunnels that help deceive potential intruders. During the hot summer months, residents of Nushabad use 1,000-year-old sections of the city for storage and shelter. Boka Casemates. Luxembourg City is home to an impressive underground network of fortified tunnels and bastions known as the Boka Casemates. Built by the Spanish in the early 17th century, these vast underground galleries played a key role in the city's defense strategy, especially during the numerous sieges, wars, and conflicts that Luxembourg experienced throughout its history. In 1994, this extensive and unique underground defense system was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Today, visitors can explore the Boka Casemates and learn about the military engineering mastery behind the impressive underground construction. As you know, the Boka Casemates are one of the most visible evidence of the military history of Luxembourg. These structures demonstrate the complexity and thoughtfulness of the defensive architecture of the time and are an example of military engineering. Stone discs with stars and sun. In the Italian province of Trieste, archaeologists have discovered 2 unique stone discs with a diameter of about 50 centimeters, one of which is believed to be a celestial map about 2,500 years old. This discovery was made in the fortress of Castellieri di Rupin Piccolo, dating back to the period between 1800 and 400 BC. The disc contains 29 stars, 28 of which are still visible in the night sky. Researchers from the Italian National Institute of Astrophysics say one of the discs may depict the night sky over Rupin Piccolo 2,500 years ago, making it the oldest celestial map found in Italy. There are also images of constellations such as Cassiopeia, Orion, Scorpio, and Pleiades. The researchers used stellarium software to simulate the night sky of the time. They found that one star, Theta Scorpii, which was visible in 1800 BC, is no longer visible. This suggests that the location of the signs on the map was not random. Of particular interest is the 29th star on the map, which does not correspond to any of the stars known today. In any case, this discovery demonstrates the high level of astronomical knowledge of ancient cultures and shows that ancient people used the stars for navigation and rituals. Underground city in Bolivia. Deep in the desert plains of southern Bolivia lie the ruins of the mysterious underground city of Yanaku, According to local legends dating back to around the 7th century AD, Yanaku was built by ancient civilizations as a refuge from frequent droughts and military conflicts. The structure of the city includes a complex network of tunnels and chambers located at different levels. The levels are connected by stairs and slopes carved into the rock, and a unique water supply system provided residents with water even in the driest periods. Ancient drawings and glyphs have been discovered on the walls of individual chambers, which scientists suggest may be the key to understanding the lifestyle and culture of the Yanaku people. Research suggests that Yanaku may have been not only a refuge but also a center of cultural and religious significance. However, the reasons for his sudden oblivion remain a mystery. Today, Yanaku represents a unique archaeological heritage, attracting researchers and history buffs from all over the world. Is it possible to resurrect dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are amazing creatures that reigned on Earth for millions of years until they disappeared about 66 million years ago. They have always excited the minds of people seeking to recreate their lifestyle and appearance. However, the question of particular interest is it possible to resurrect dinosaurs with the help of modern science? DNA is a fragile molecule that stores genetic information and degrades quickly after the death of an organism. The chances of finding intact DNA in fossils are very low, although it is sometimes preserved in cold or dry conditions. Currently, the oldest DNA sample is about 1 million years old and belongs to a mammoth. Findings of DNA from dinosaurs that went extinct 66 million years ago have not yet been confirmed. Interest in resurrecting dinosaurs is sparked by the study of other molecules, such as proteins. They can provide information about an organism's DNA, but cannot recreate it completely. In 2007, fragments of collagen were discovered in the bones of a Tyrannosaurus, which became a sensation, but also raised many questions. However, despite progress in the study of ancient molecules, we are not yet able to recreate dinosaurs. But besides recreating DNA, there are many more reasons why this is not possible at the moment. One of the main reasons is the climate. At our level of oxygen in the atmosphere, a dinosaur would not survive even a day. Human bone flute. In Moscow, customs officers intercepted an unusual parcel sent to Germany, which contained a Buddhist ritual flute, kangling, ganlin, made of human bone and with a cover made of human skin. This creepy object was revealed during an X-ray scan. The flute, wrapped in newspaper, had a hollow shape with a trident and the author's mark. The sender from Moscow indicated in the documents that he was sending a musical instrument without specifying the materials for its manufacture. The parcel was sent to the city of Nürtingen. The examination showed that the flute was made recently and is not of cultural value. The item was transferred to the Ministry of Internal Affairs for further examination, highlighting the unusual and macabre nature of the find. The first biological weapon. Scientists have confirmed a shocking story about a biological weapon used 800 years ago in Norway. During excavations in the ruins of Sverresborg Castle, archaeologists found the remains of a man who was thrown into a well to poison the water during the height of the medieval civil war in Norway. The story is described in the Scandinavian chronicle Sverre Saga, but many historians doubted its authenticity. According to the saga, during the siege of Sverresborg, a group supporting the archbishop known as the Baglers, having failed to find King Sverre Sigurdsson, decided to use the corpse as a means of poisoning the water. To confirm this, a team of scientists conducted DNA analysis of the remains found at the bottom of the well. Back in 1938, archaeologists found the intact remains of a man in a well at a depth of 6 meters, but further research was interrupted due to World War II. It wasn't until 2016 that scientists were able to conduct further excavations, which revealed that the well man was a man in his 30s or 40s with a head injury, which may have been the cause of his death. There was no clothing around him except for a preserved leather boot. DNA analysis and radiocarbon dating confirmed that the remains did indeed date to the conflict period. Fort Canning Bunker. Hidden beneath the greenery of Fort Canning Park in Singapore lies an artifact reminiscent of the World War II period in the country's history. Also known as Battle Box, the Fort Canning Bunker is a former underground military command center built by the British in the 1930s. Comprising 26 rooms and 2 floors, this underground facility once served as the headquarters of British General Percival during the Battle of Singapore. Today, tours of the Fort Canning bunker allow visitors to explore the well-preserved rooms, including the encryption room, telephone exchange, and air filtration system, and learn about Singapore's military experience. As you know, Battle Box is not only a monument to military history, but also evidence of the strategic importance of Singapore in the global conflicts of that time. This site demonstrates the level of military engineering and planning used by the British during the war. Luxurious tombs. Archaeologists excavating the site of a future solar power plant near Rome discovered an ancient Roman necropolis with 67 skeletons decorated with gold jewelry and expensive shoes. The find dates back to the 2nd to 4th centuries AD and is believed to have belonged to the Roman elite. Among the artifacts found were rings, amulets with precious stones, terracotta dishes, Roman coins, and glassware. The skeletons were buried shallowly at a depth of approximately 50 centimeters, which allowed them to be preserved from agricultural activities. Archaeologists suggest that the unique tombs imitated the architecture of the earthly homes of the dead. Many of the graves were family graves, and some skeletons were found in each other's arms. These burials are planned to be moved for public display at the Castel Santa Severa in Italy. Further research will reveal more about the lives and origins of the deceased. I'm not an archaeologist, but I don't quite understand why human skeletons should be displayed in a castle for public display. Maybe you understand? Write your opinion in the comments under the video. Bright glass beads. Archaeologists studying the Bronze Age in northern Italy have discovered thousands of glass beads dating back more than 3,000 years at the ancient settlement of Fratesina. These vibrant artifacts shed light on the first art of glassmaking in Europe. The team found a Bronze Age clay furnace surrounded by tools and the remains of glassware, a structure that has no analogs in Europe at the time. Among the finds are many multicolored beads that have retained their rich colors, from blue to red, from white to black, with patterns in the form of swirls and spots. Even after thousands of years, their colors remain bright, as if they had just come out of the furnace. The stability of the color is explained by the unique recipe of the local glass created on the basis of sand from the Po River, which gave the products durability. Fratesina, which flourished from 1200 to 1000 BC, was a center of handicraft production and trade. In addition to glass, amber, ivory, bronze, gold, tin, and iron were processed here. Artificial eye. Here is the oldest known artificial eye in the world, which was found in a woman's burial in the burnt city, Shahi-e-Sukte, in Iran. This unique artifact is over 4,800 years old. The eye prosthesis was a hemisphere made of a lightweight material based on bitumen paste. It was covered in gold, and its surface had slits imitating the pupil, which gave it a realistic appearance. The prosthesis was secured with two small holes through which a cord, similar to a modern bandage, was passed, which allowed it to be held in place. The woman wore this eye during the day to hide the empty eye socket, and at night she carefully stored it in a leather pouch found along with other burial items. Such a level of craftsmanship and care for appearance amazes even modern researchers. This find testifies to the high level of medical and craft knowledge of the ancient civilization, as well as the desire of people of that time to preserve their appearance and maintain dignity. Graves from the time of Yaroslav the Wise. During archaeological excavations in the Kyiv region, Ukraine, an ancient cemetery dating back to the 11th century was discovered. The remains of men and women were found in this cemetery, accompanied by unique funerary artifacts. The men were buried with battle axes, knives, and spearheads. Women's burials were decorated with bronze neck rings and other jewelry. In addition, wooden buckets and valuable items were found near some of the deceased, including slate spindles, bracelets, pendular brooches, bronze belt rings, cowrie shell necklaces, and various weapons. According to archaeologists, the orientation of the burials and burial customs are similar to the traditions of the Western Baltic tribes. The mysterious pyramids of Sitiang. This complex, discovered by archaeologists at the end of the 20th century, includes more than 80 pyramids, making it one of the largest burial sites in the Nubian desert in Sudan. The Seeing pyramids were built during the period when Nubia was under the influence of ancient Egypt, and the rulers of the Kush kingdom sought to imitate Egyptian traditions and architecture. Most of the Seeing pyramids are small in size compared to Egyptian pyramids, the average height of which is between 3 and 7 meters. They were built of sandstone and brick and were used as burial places for nobles and members of the ruling elite. Archaeologists have found ceramics, jewelry, and the remains of mummies in these pyramids, which indicates the high level of skill of Nubian artisans. One of the mysteries of the Seeing pyramids is their large number in a relatively small area, which makes this complex unique. The construction of such a large number of pyramids may indicate the important religious and cultural significance of this place for the ancient Nubians. Sedainga was also the site of the cult of the goddess Hathor, who played a key role in the religious life of Nubia. Ancient calendars in the USA. At Castle Rock Pueblo on the Mesa Verde Plateau in the United States, where Colorado and Utah meet, archaeologists have made astonishing discoveries. In an area known for its unusual rock formations and ancient cave paintings, and scientists have discovered many new petroglyphs. New engravings on a stone that is about 3,000 years old may change our understanding of the culture and history of this area. Archaeologist Radoslaw Polanka from the Jagiellonian University said that at an altitude of about 800 meters above the known settlements, numerous lines and spirals were discovered engraved on the walls. The spirals, whose diameter reaches 1 meter, could be used as calendars to mark important dates and conduct astronomical observations. These finds can radically change the perception of this era, when the Pueblo people led an agricultural lifestyle and made baskets and mats. Rock spheroids 1.4 million years old. In the 1960s, archaeologists in northern Israel discovered an unusual find, almost 600 stone balls in an area dating back 1.4 million years. A recent analysis of 150 of these balls showed that they were created by our ancestors. This discovery suggests that early humanoid creatures sought to create symmetry and were fond of craft work. The use of modern technology has made it possible to accurately measure the angles and curvature of the surface of the balls, as well as determine their center of mass. The analysis showed that the spheroids represent complex technology, indicating the high cognitive abilities and skills of early Acheulean people. It would seem like ordinary stone balls, but how much they can tell about our ancestors. 1.5 million years ago, our ancestors had completely different thinking and needs. Therefore, the creation of such artifacts in those years was considered a huge achievement. Underground rituals. Hidden deep in the mountainous region of central Anatolia lies the ancient underground city of Ursini. According to legends based on local traditions, Ursini was carved into the rocks during the Getian kingdom around 800 BC. The city was intended for protection from enemy invasions and bad weather. Ursini extends 4 levels deep into the ground, including living quarters, public plazas, and even a small underground temple. A unique ventilation system consisting of long, narrow ducts provided fresh air. In addition, the city had wells for water extraction and places for storing food. The most mysterious part of Ursini is the Hall of Shadows, where, according to legend, mysterious rituals were held. The walls of the hall are decorated with complex reliefs depicting mythical creatures and symbols, the meaning of which still remains unknown. Historians believe that Ursini may have been used as a temporary refuge during periods of war or natural disasters, but some studies suggest that the city may have been a permanent residence for a special segment of the population. Invasion of witches and ghouls. In the Philippines in the 1950s, rumors spread about an invasion of aswangs, evil creatures from Filipino folklore similar to ghouls and witches. These mythical creatures allegedly attacked people, causing a wave of fear among the population. However, behind these rumors was not folklore, but a well-thought-out CIA operation. In order to suppress the Filipino rebels, American agents decided to take advantage of the superstitions of the locals. The CIA kidnapped locals or rebels, killed them in horrific ways, leaving their bodies in plain sight to cause panic. Rumors were then spread that these were attacks by aswangs. This tactic played on people's fears and beliefs, which led to a weakening of support for the rebels among the local population. It was a psychological war. the purpose of which was to break the fighting spirit of the people without resorting to open battles. This case shows how myths and folklore can be used for political and military purposes, becoming a powerful tool of manipulation. Hidden cameras in Scotland. In the shadow of modern-day Edinburgh, Scotland, lie the mysterious underground chambers known as the Vaults of Edinburgh. Built in the 18th century, these underground spaces were originally used as warehouses and workshops for the city's growing businesses. However, over time, conditions in the vaults deteriorated, and it became a center of illegal activities, including smuggling, brewing, and housing for the city's poor. Today, tours of Edinburgh's vaults give visitors the opportunity to delve into the city's darker history and explore the dark, candle-lit chambers and passages that remain to this day. As you know, the vaults of Edinburgh are evidence of the dark side of the city's history. They talk about the lives of ordinary people and the difficulties they faced in those days. Traces of curry. Archaeologists have made a breakthrough discovery in Vietnam that is rewriting the history of the spice trade and culinary traditions of Southeast Asia. Spice remains dating back at least 1,800 years have been discovered at the ancient trading port of Archaeological, located in the south of modern Vietnam. The study, published in the journal Science Advances, reveals that the region's culinary traditions, including popular curries, run deep. Microscopic fragments of cinnamon from Sri Lanka and nutmeg from the Banda Islands in Indonesia were found on 12 stone grinding tools. Archaeologists also discovered traces of coconut, rice, and well-preserved seeds. Archaeologists suggest that South Asian migrants introduced this culinary tradition to Southeast Asia about 2,000 years ago during the period of early trade contact across the Indian Ocean. The study shows that spices were a valuable commodity in global trade almost 2,000 years ago, and curry was popular far beyond India. Moreover, the modern curry recipe in Vietnam remains true to the ancient Archaeological period, including ingredients such as turmeric, cloves, cinnamon, and coconut milk. Tunic of Alexander the Great. Archaeologists have discovered a fragment of rare purple fabric in a tomb at Vergina that may have been part of Alexander the Great's tunic and symbolized his power. The fabric was found in a gold vault next to the remains of a man buried wearing a gold wreath. The piece of fabric is a rare cotton for the time, dyed with Tyrian purple, an expensive dye associated with kingship. Purple clothing was traditionally worn by Persian kings, and Alexander adopted the practice after his victory over Darius III, emphasizing his divine status. Some historians believe that the tomb is that of Philip II, Alexander's father, while others believe that the artifacts may have belonged to Alexander himself or his brother Philip III Aridaeus, who inherited the royal regalia. Among other artifacts found were a gold diadem, a scepter, and a wreath with oak leaves, details often mentioned in historical sources about Alexander's royal regalia. The frieze of the tomb contains a hunting scene, which, according to researchers, depicts Alexander in a purple tunic. Secret underground city in England. Beneath the quiet English countryside, shrouded in mystery, lies one of the most famous underground cities, built in the late 1950s at the height of the Cold War. This secret bunker, known as Burlington, was designed to provide refuge for the British government in the event of a nuclear attack. Situated on 35 acres and approximately 200 feet underground, Burlington could house and work 4,000 government officials and employees for 3 months. It housed communication centers, a hospital, a broadcast studio, and even an underground lake to provide fresh water. Although the site was decommissioned in the early 2000s, it remains a fascinating example of Cold War-era planning and secrecy. Amethyst Vase. This magnificent amethyst vase dates back to around the 8th century BC and belongs to the Neo-Assyrian period. Found in a private collection, it is an amazing example of the skill of ancient artisans working with semi-precious stones. Amethyst was highly prized for its rarity and beauty. Its deep purple color was associated with luxury and was considered a symbol of power and spirituality. Amethyst items were very difficult to create at that time because the processing of such a hard stone required a high level of skill and special tools. This vase was probably part of a ritual inventory or served to store valuables, perhaps incense or oils. Fine polishing and proportional shape indicate that the object was intended for noble owners, such as royal families or high-ranking officials. The Neo-Assyrian civilization was one of the most powerful in the ancient world, renowned for its art, architecture, and exquisite household items. City of Guanajuato. The city of Guanajuato, located in central Mexico, is famous for its network of narrow streets, alleys, and tunnels that stretch beneath the city's colorful facades. These underground passages were originally created to drain water from the silver mines that were the city's lifeline during the Spanish colonial period. Over time, these tunnels were converted into functional roads and sidewalks, offering an alternative method of transportation underground to the busy streets above. Visitors to Guanajuato can explore these unique underground passages while learning about the city's colorful history, rich in silver mining, trade, and the influence of the Spanish colonial era. As you know, Guanajuato has not only unique architecture, but also a rich history. These underground passages are a testament to the amazing adaptation and innovation used to solve infrastructural and economic challenges across time. Stone chain. Here is a unique architectural detail of the Gowri temple located in Yalandur, India. The temple was built in the 16th century and is known for its intricate carvings, among which this chain carved from a single stone stands out. Carving such a chain from a single monolith is an amazing example of the skill of ancient Indian stonemasons, which is admired even today. In Indian architecture, each element of the temple has its own meaning and fulfills a spiritual role. Such elements could symbolize the connection between the earthly and the divine, or be an expression of strength and eternity. The Gowri temple was built during the heyday of the Vijayanagar dynasty, known for its grandiose structures and attention to detail. Italian underground city. Perched atop a volcanic rock formation in Umbria, Italy, the city of Orvieto mesmerizes visitors with its subterranean wonders. Beneath the city's streets lies a complex network of more than 1,200 caves, wells, tunnels, and galleries that reveal Orvieto's rich history. The Etruscans inhabited the site as early as the 9th century BC, and many of the underground features, such as the cisterns and tombs, date back to that time. Of particular note is the impressive St. Patrick's Well, Pozzo di San Patrizio, built in 1537. It goes to a depth of 62 meters and is a shining example of Renaissance engineering. From ancient wineries to pigeon breeding grounds, the underground city of Orvieto offers an incredible journey through time. The man who was killed by his own beard. Hans Steininger, a famous 16th century Austrian politician, is famous not only for his work as mayor of Braunau am Inn, but also for his unusually long beard. His beard reached about 1.5 meters and required special care, including carrying it in a special bag. However, it was this luxurious beard that became the reason for his sad fate. According to one version, on September 28, 1567, when a fire broke out in Braunau am Inn, Steininger hurried to calm the city residents but forgot to put his beard in his bag. Tripping over it on the stairs, he fell and broke his neck. According to another version, noted by the 19th century traveler Joseph Kiselak, the tragedy occurred when Steininger ran to meet the prince and tripped over his beard. This case is considered one of the few documented cases of death from beards in history. In honor of Steininger, a stone statue was erected in the city, reminiscent of him as the famous head of the city with an unusual beard. Tourists can see this monument, which has become one of the attractions of Braunau am Inn. Bronze rock crystal sword. This stunning bronze sword with turquoise inlay and gold trim is from the Warring States period of China, spanning the 4th to 2nd centuries BC. It was a period when numerous kingdoms fought for dominance and influence, and the art of war reached a high level of perfection. This sword stands out not only for its military purpose, but also for its incredible craftsmanship. The sword's handle is made of rock crystal, which gives it a special sophistication and makes it not only a weapon, but also a work of art. The turquoise inlay adds unique color accents, and the use of gold emphasizes the status of the owner, probably one of the nobility or a high-ranking warrior. Such swords not only served as a symbol of power and influence, but also demonstrated the skill of ancient Chinese blacksmiths and jewelers. Underground city in Montreal. Beneath the bustling streets of Montreal, Canada lies an amazing modern creation, The underground city, or La Ville Souterraine. Its construction began in 1962, and today this underground network spans more than 32 kilometers of tunnels and facilities, connecting various commercial, retail, and transport hubs. With climate control and a wide range of shops, restaurants, hotels, theaters, and office complexes, the underground city offers a unique and convenient refuge for both residents and visitors to Montreal during the harsh winter months. However, it is interesting to note that locals rarely use the term La Ville Souterraine. The more common name is Underground City to refer to this network of interconnected tunnels and spaces. Latest photos of extinct animals. The Red Book is often cited as a symbol of the protection of endangered species, but few people know about the existence of the Black Book, a sad catalog of animals and plants lost forever. This document serves as a poignant reminder that we have lost 844 species over the past 5 centuries. Today I want to talk about some animals that disappeared due to humans in the last century, whose last specimens were recorded in photographs or videos. The Barbary lion, native to North Africa, disappeared in the 1920s. Huge and powerful with a majestic mane, this lion was hunted to extinction because of its detriment to livestock, especially after the advent of firearms. The last lion was killed in 1922. The marsupial wolf, or thylacine, lived in Australia and New Guinea and was later driven to Tasmania by dingoes. The shooting by farmers began when thylacines began attacking livestock. In 1936, the last thylacine in the zoo died, but its appearance was preserved on video. The Bali tiger, which lived on the island of Bali, was one of the smallest tigers. Hunting of these tigers began in the 1910s, and the last female was killed in 1937, leading to the extinction of the species. The Mexican grizzly, which inhabited the territories of Mexico and the United States, was last seen in 1960. Despite the ban on hunting these bears in 1959, they have disappeared due to hunting and habitat loss. These stories are only a small part of the tragic fates of animals that have disappeared due to human activity. There are legends that modern humanity has found living mammoths and saber-toothed tigers, and supposedly these photographs confirm their recent existence. A necropolis with 95 crypts. Here is one of the most mysterious and unique places in the Caucasus, the Dargav's necropolis, located in North Ossetia. This medieval architectural complex, also known as the City of the Dead, has 95 stone crypts, many of which are in the shape of towers. The necropolis is located on the slope of a picturesque valley among majestic mountains, which gives it a special atmosphere of mystery and tranquility. Dargav's has a special significance for local culture and history. It is assumed that the crypts were built in the 16th, the 18th centuries and were used as a burial place. Each family built its own crypt, where they buried not only the bodies but also the belongings of the deceased, which is a rare custom for these places. Dargav's became a kind of family archive where household items and even bones have been preserved, which have helped historians better understand the life and customs of the ancient Ossetians. The necropolis is protected by UNESCO as a cultural heritage site, and it attracts tourists from all over the world. There are even stories among locals that anyone who visits the City of the Dead may not return. Today, the necropolis is an important cultural landmark and a reminder of the eternal connection between generations. Sunken Garden in Australia. Hidden in the town of Mount Gambier, South Australia, lies the magical cave-in of Umferston, also known as the Sunken Garden. Created in 1886 by James Umferston, it was conceived as a reinterpretation of a huge limestone cave into a picturesque Victorian garden. Descending stairs from ground level, visitors can explore this stunning underground oasis, filled with terraced gardens, ferns, hydrangeas, and even hanging ivy hanging from the cave ceiling. One of the unique features of the Umferston collapse is the colony of possums that live here. At dawn, these nocturnal creatures emerge to feed on fruits left by visitors. Watching possums adds a special charm and allows you to get closer to Australia's wildlife. As you know, the Umferston landslide is not only a unique natural formation, but also the embodiment of the amazing interaction between man and nature. The creation of this garden demonstrates how human intervention can transform a natural space into a place of beauty and peace. City under the rocks. Tucked away in the Andalusian region of Spain is the charming town of Setenil de las Bodegas, built right into a cliff. The dwellings here are literally carved into the rock, and the hanging cliffs serve as natural shelter and insulation. The city's unique architecture dates back to the 12th century. This place was once a thriving Moorish settlement. Today, Setenil de las Bodegas attracts tourists from all over the world, offering them the opportunity to explore the winding streets lined with tapas bars, shops, and views of the picturesque surrounding countryside. Salt mine in Wieliczka. The Wieliczka mine, located near Krakow in Poland, is a massive underground complex that has been in operation since the 13th century. From 9 levels, going down to a depth of more than 327 meters, an astonishing amount of rock salt was mined here, about 200 million tons. Today, the Wieliczka mine is a popular tourist attraction. Visitors can take a fascinating journey through the historical and mythical halls of the mine, where they will find magnificent salt sculptures, including the famous Last Supper, as well as various chandeliers made from salt minerals. The mine is also home to a resort where guests can try halotherapy, a treatment using salt that is believed to help with a variety of respiratory conditions and skin problems. Stone sarcophagus. In Italy, archaeologists have discovered an intact 2,500-year-old sarcophagus that lay hidden underground near the volcanic Lake Bolsena. During excavations of the ancient Etruscan settlement of Bisenzio on the shores of the lake, several graves dating back to between 700 and 500 BC were found. To the surprise of scientists, none of the burials had suffered from looting, which is rare for such an ancient site. Of particular interest was a simple stone sarcophagus that preserved its contents in their original form. Using an excavator, archaeologists lifted the heavy lid and found an almost completely preserved skeleton inside. Next to the remains was a small clay vessel, which, according to experts, could symbolize personal belongings or offerings to the deceased. The find is unique and gives researchers a rare opportunity to study the remains of an ancient Etruscan. Scientists hope that further analysis of the skeleton will provide valuable information about the life and culture of this people. Excavations of an ancient civilization. Located near the northern coastal city of Trujillo in Peru, the ancient city of Chan Chan provides a unique glimpse into the fascinating world of the Chimu civilization. One of the most extensive pre-Hispanic cities in South America, Chan Chan is famous for its complex system of underground canals, tunnels, and spaces that ensured the efficient management of water and other resources during the city's heyday. The city's secret underground infrastructure also served as a refuge during harsh weather conditions and potential invasions by aggressors. Today, visitors can explore the Chan Chan archaeological site to uncover its unique history, including both above and below ground remains of the complex social structure of the Chimu civilization. As you know, Chan Chan is not only an archaeological site, but also evidence of the highly developed Chimu civilization. These structures demonstrate the advanced technology and skills of ancient people in the fields of architecture and resource management. Would you like to visit these ancient underground cities? Or perhaps some of you have already experienced something similar. Skeleton from different eras. Archaeologists in Belgium have found an unusual skeleton consisting of the bones of 5 people who lived several thousand years apart. The remains were discovered in a Roman-era cremation cemetery in Pomerol, near the border with France. As it turned out, this strange individual is 2,500 years older than the Roman period. Moreover, radiocarbon dating showed that the bones date back to the Neolithic period, that is, to the period between 7,000 and 3,000 BC. Excavations of this cemetery began in the 1970s, and among 76 cremation burials, scientists discovered an unusual burial, a skeleton in the fetal position. According to initial assumptions, it was Roman, since a Roman-type bone pin was located next to the skull. However, a detailed analysis in 2019 led to unexpected conclusions. The skeleton was made up of bones belonging to different people, and the pin itself was dated to around 69-210 AD. Scientists suggest that the Romans may have accidentally disturbed the Neolithic burial, adding the skull and pin to complete the composition. However, why and how the different remains were collected together remains a mystery. Remains of a lost pagan cult. Archaeologists near Prague have found a unique bronze buckle depicting a snake-like creature devouring a person or a frog-like object. This discovery may point to a forgotten pagan cult that connected different regions of Central Europe in the early Middle Ages. The buckle found in the Czech Republic was initially thought to be unique, but similar buckles have also been discovered in Germany and Hungary. Archaeologist Jiří Macháček claims that the find may indicate a previously unknown pagan cult that survived before the spread of Christianity. The symbolism of the buckle is still unclear, but researchers suggest that the image may be associated with creation myths, where the fight against a snake or dragon is a central element, and the interaction between a snake and a frog may indicate a fertility cult. Research shows that these buckles were made in the 7th and 8th centuries and were worn by the Avars, a nomadic people who settled in Hungary and created an influential state in Central Europe. The items were made from copper mined in the Slovak Ore Mountains and became popular among other peoples of the region, including the Slavs.
Cursed emeralds. These emeralds, which are called cursed, became one of the most tragic finds in the history of treasure hunting. They were discovered by J. Miskovich, a man who dedicated his life to searching for ancient treasures. In 2010, off the coast of Florida, he managed to find a deposit of emeralds valued at several $1,000,000. At first glance, this was luck, capable of changing his life for the better. However, the find soon attracted the attention of not only the media, but also federal agencies, including the FBI. Legal proceedings and inspections began, the purpose of which was to determine the origin of the precious stones. Complex legal battles and public pressure turned Miskovich's life into a nightmare. Constant accusations and pressure from the authorities made his existence unbearable, and he eventually committed suicide. This tragedy became the basis for the legend of the Cursed Emeralds, which brought their owner not wealth and success, but pain and suffering. Today, the story serves as a grim reminder that great discoveries can sometimes have horrific consequences. Underground Temple in Malta. The Haus Saflieni Hypogeum in Malta is an ancient underground complex built around 4000 BC. It is one of the world's finest prehistoric sites and was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1980. This incredible structure has several levels and chambers carved into the limestone rock and was used as a place for burials and ritual ceremonies. The remains of more than 7,000 people were found here. But the most fascinating thing about the Hypogeum is its unique acoustic properties. In the oracle chamber, sound resonates at amazing frequencies, creating a special acoustic effect. Patron of dogs. The term saint is not used in the Buddhist tradition, but the story of the Brahmin Kukuripa of Kapilavastu clearly demonstrates true holiness. This wanderer, having given up worldly pleasures for the sake of enlightenment, once saved a puppy on the verge of life and death and took care of it. Upon his arrival in Lumbini, the birthplace of the Buddha, Kukuripa found a companion who became his close friend and ally on the path to enlightenment. Leaving the animal to guard the cave, he continued his search for the truth. 12 years later, having mastered the abilities of prediction and foresight, Kukuripa received an invitation from the gods to the heavenly sphere. There, he continued his research but did not forget about the dog. Food and water for the pet appeared in the cave by themselves. When the time came to go to Nirvana, Kukuripa refused, citing concern for his companion. However, the gods persuaded him to return to the dog. Having met his pet, he recognized her as a Dakini, a goddess who taught him steadfastness of mind and clarity of consciousness. Kukuripa, who became the guru and patron of dogs, returned home, gained many disciples, and dedicated his life to the benefit of all living beings. After death, as expected, Kukuripa ascended to heaven. His image, always accompanied by his faithful dog, remained in culture as a symbol of unbreakable devotion and spiritual wisdom. Tree Guy. In Ireland, after a hurricane felled a 215-year-old beech tree, the skeleton of a young man who died in the Middle Ages was found in its roots. Surprisingly, in 1800, the tree was accidentally planted right on the grave, and its roots grew through the remains, preserving important details that allowed scientists to study the history of the young man. Analysis showed that he was 20 years old. Judging by his diet, the young man ate well and probably belonged to the wealthy part of society. However, the study also revealed a curvature of the spine, which may indicate hard physical work in childhood. The cause of death was violence. 2 notches were found on the ribs, indicating knife wounds. This case highlights the importance of chance archaeological discoveries that shed light on the personal stories of people who lived centuries ago.
5th century mosaic in Britain. Archaeological research at the Roman villa of Chedworth, located in the Cotswolds, Gloucestershire, UK, has led to a revision of historical ideas about the Dark Ages. Excavation director Martin Papworth and his team discovered mosaics dating back to the 5th century, indicating that art flourished during this period. It was previously thought that Roman villas and towns in Britain fell into disrepair at the end of the 4th century. However, radiocarbon dating of the foundations of the mosaic, carried out in 2017, showed that it was created in the 480s after the Romans left Britain and during the Dark Ages. Papworth notes that archival evidence suggests the end of Roman rule in Britain around 410 AD, after which economic and cultural decline was assumed. This discovery demonstrates that even in the dark times, the construction and decoration of luxurious houses continued in the country. Villa Chedworth, dating from the 2nd century AD, contains many historically significant objects.
Beautiful and mysterious. An archaeological discovery in Norfolk, East Anglia has sparked interest among scientists around the world. A gilded silver object dating from the late 8th or early 9th century was discovered at Langham and has become the subject of debate among historians. This 19.4 mm artifact features intricate designs and a depiction of a stylized animal looking back over its shoulder. The technique used to create it involved mixing mercury with gold powder, which demonstrates the high skill of its creators. The uncertainty of its purpose adds to the mystery of the find, which demonstrates an appreciation for the beauty and grace of the period. As Helen Gick, a finds officer at Norfolk, noted, the item was crafted with the same care as a piece of jewelry or a religious text. The gold and mercury used in the manufacture may have been imported from Spain. Geek suggests that the artifact could be part of the staff. Norwich Castle Museum has already expressed interest in purchasing the item for its collection, highlighting its significance and uniqueness.
Metal door inside the rock. Since the beginning of the 21st century, numerous stories and rumors have surrounded the construction of the Baikal-Amur mainline in Russia, some of which surprisingly have a basis in reality. During active work on this railway line, workers encountered anomalies and paranormal phenomena, causing many to call the line ghost. Among the stories, a special place is occupied by stories about the ghost of the railway, a train passing by without a sound, which was witnessed by both builders and local residents. Scientists believe the origins of these stories may be linked to events in the 1940s when prisoners hijacked a steam locomotive during an uprising in an escape attempt. The BAM tunnels were not spared from mysteries, in particular the Severomoisky Tunnel, the construction of which took more than 25 years due to unexpected surprises that posed new challenges for the builders. The mysteries associated with these structures, including stories of a white shaman who foreshadows disasters, only enhance the aura of mysticism around the highway. At every step, builders faced new obstacles that required immediate solutions. One of the most intriguing moments was the discovery of a metal door in one of the sections of the tunnel after the breakthrough of an underground spring, which led to the death of 30 people. The door, which became a real mystery, remained an unsolved secret, as did the strange sounds coming from underground, reminiscent of knocking. Attempts to explain these phenomena range from speculation about high concentrations of radon gas, which can cause audio hallucinations, to stories of evil spirits living in the depths of the tunnel. Additional intrigue is brought by the Devil's Bridge, part of the same highway, famous for its secrets and myths. Despite all the technical and mystical difficulties, the Severomoisky Tunnel and the Devil's Bridge remain the most important structures of the BAM, and the stories associated with them continue to excite the minds of both specialists and travelers. Answers to many questions have not yet been found, and each new riddle only deepens the mystery of these places. The disappearance of the ancient civilization. 900 years ago, one of the world's largest civilizations, Cahokia, disappeared. New research has challenged the old theory that drought and crop failure were the cause. The Cahokia Mounds, located near modern-day St. Louis, were a thriving settlement with a population of about 5,000 people. By 1400, the site was deserted, and the reasons for the mass exodus remain a mystery to archaeologists. Archaeologists analyzed the soil of Cahokia, studying the carbon isotopes left behind by plants that grew during the mass exodus. The results showed that the ratio of carbon-12 to carbon-13 remained stable. This indicates that there were no significant changes in the local vegetation and does not support the version of crop failure. It is known that the inhabitants of Cahokia were inventive and may have had the skills to irrigate and store crops. They also had a varied diet, including fish, birds, deer, fruits, and nuts, which would have ensured their survival even if some food sources were lost. So why did they abandon Cahokia? Archaeologists suspect it was a long process caused by external factors. To better understand why, scientists plan to create a database of paleobotanical evidence and conduct experiments with growing ancient crops in controlled conditions.
Books made from people. In the 18th and 19th centuries, there was a gruesome practice of binding books in human skin. This rare and shocking phenomenon was called anthropodermic bibliophagy. Some copies of medical or philosophical treatises, as well as personal diaries, could be bound in the skin of deceased people, most often in memory of them. For example, some doctors used the skin of their patients to bind medical texts in order to immortalize their contributions to science. Books like this have become the subject of increased interest and research. Modern technology, including DNA analysis and chemical testing, can determine whether a binding is actually made from human skin. This phenomenon reflects not only the medical and scientific interests of the era, but also attitudes toward death, memory, and the body. Today, anthropodermic books are rare artifacts that evoke both horror and intrigue, as well as a reminder of the strange and controversial traditions of the past. Temple with amazing treasures. On the Greek island of Evia, archaeologists have discovered unique finds in a 2,000-year-old temple, including precious jewelry and bronze figurines. The temple, dating back to the 7th century BC, was explored by a team of 50 scientists. During the excavations, valuable artifacts were found. Corinthian alabasters, Attic vases, locally made ritual trays, as well as jewelry made of gold, silver, and coral. Inside the temple, structures were found that were probably used as altars, including a unique altar in the shape of a horseshoe. The discovery of thick layers of ash with charred bones indicates its regular use. Scientists suggest that some altars appeared before the construction of the temple itself. The first phase of use of the horseshoe altar has yielded pottery dating back to the late 8th century BC. Particular attention was drawn to the bronze figurines of the geometric period, depicting bulls and rams found in one of the most ancient parts of the temple. Underwater base in Argentina. A secret Nazi submarine base off the coast of Argentina has long been the subject of rumors and theories, but recent research appears to support the theory. Researchers have uncovered evidence of a German U-boat hideout in a remote area of the Argentine coast. These bases, some say, may have been used to hide submarines that carried Nazi officers and supplies to South America after the war. The discovery includes the remains of underground tunnels and shelters that may have served as both submarine staging areas and hubs for intelligence activities. The finds include metal structures, pieces of equipment, and old maps showing possible U-boat routes along the coast. These sites may have been part of a Nazi plan to create secret havens where their elite could hide after the collapse of the Third Reich. Argentina, known for its neutrality during the war and close ties to former Nazis, was an attractive haven for fugitive German officers. U-boats such as the infamous U-530 and U-977 docked off the coast of South America in the final days of the war, raising the possibility that such bases may have existed.
Rock tomb. In Malta, construction workers have accidentally stumbled upon an ancient tomb dating back some 2,300 years. In September, while installing new water lines near a hospital in the town of Birkirkara, workers discovered a chamber cut into the rock. Archaeologists later confirmed that it was a Punic tomb. Subsequent excavations revealed the tomb's central well and 3 burial chambers. The entrances were sealed with the original stone slabs. Through narrow cracks, archaeologists saw skeletons and artifacts. Inside the chambers were bones arranged in a specific pattern, as well as urns with ashes. The bones were likely moved to make room for new burials. In total, at least 14 burials were found in 3 chambers. The remains have already been moved to a lab for further analysis. Archaeologists plan to conduct radiocarbon dating and DNA analysis to learn more about the Punic community that created the tomb. The Punic civilization, also known as the Carthaginian Republic, was one of the most influential powers in the Mediterranean until its conquest by the Romans around 150 BC. Engraving on the knife. Archaeologists in Denmark have discovered runic inscription on a knife dating back almost 2,000 years, which they believe is the oldest runes in the country. The inscription was engraved on an 8 centimeters iron knife found in a grave under an urn near the city of Odense on the island of Funen. The inscription, made up of 5 characters about 0.5 centimeters high and 3 grooves, forms the word Herila, which means small sword in Old Norse. This find, along with an earlier bone comb, became the oldest runic inscription ever discovered in Denmark. Jakob Bonde, curator of the Odense Museum and archaeologist who made the discovery, initially thought it was an ordinary knife. However, after cleaning with chemicals, it became clear that it contained a word. It's like receiving a note from the past. It's an exceptional find for us and speaks volumes about the development of the early Scandinavian language. The inscription probably refers to the knife itself and not to its owner, of whom nothing is known. This knife is 800 years older than the Jelling stones in Jutland, on one of which King Harold Bluetooth immortalized the memory of his parents in 965. Human bone tiara. Archaeologists in Altai have discovered ancient jewelry that is about 40,000 years old. They were found in Denisova Cave. One of the unique finds was a diadem made from the bone of a large mammal, preliminarily human. Such artifacts had not previously been found in the monuments of the Denisovan culture. In addition to the diadem, archaeologists found in the cave beads and pendants of various shapes made of stone, shells, bones, animal teeth, and mammoth tusks. Denisova Cave is a famous archaeological site where numerous artifacts and remains of ancient animals were discovered from 1977 to 1984. The remains of Denisovans, a species of human related to Neanderthals, were also found there. Denisovans separated from the Neanderthals about 640,000 years ago. Interestingly, Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Cro-Magnons, ancestors of modern humans, coexisted and even interbred. Denisovan DNA is present in the genomes of many peoples in Asia and Oceania. What other secrets do you think Denisova Cave holds? Write in the comments under the video. Photograph of ancient fishing. Scientists have discovered the oldest images of fishing, which were found on slate plates from the archaeological site of Gonnersdorf in western Germany. These images are about 15,800 years old. They belong to the Magdalenian culture. The study of 406 plates found earlier was carried out using modern imaging techniques. Scientists have established that the drawings of fish and mesh patterns on the plates represent a single composition depicting the use of fishing nets. 11 images of fish were found on the plates, 8 of which are surrounded by nets. The figures were scratched onto smooth areas of slate. First, the fish was depicted, and then the mesh pattern was added. The fact that the Magdalenians ate fish is confirmed by fish bones found at their sites. Scientists believe that the nets were made from plant fibers such as nettles. Other evidence of Paleolithic fishing has been found previously, including hooks dating back up to 42,000 years and traps. The Gonnersdorf plates also contain images of deer, horses, mammoths, and female silhouettes, making them a valuable source of knowledge about the lives of ancient people. Graphite button. In the depths of northern China, archaeologists have uncovered the secrets of the Shiyu monument discovered in 1963. Unique artifacts were found here, which are approximately 45,000 years old, indicating the early stage of the Upper Paleolithic. This is one of the oldest evidence of the presence of modern humans in China. Researchers have long argued about the time of the appearance of Homo sapiens in these territories. Remains from Tianyuan Cave, discovered in 2003, confirmed that this happened about 40,000 years ago. These data are consistent with the findings at Shiyu. An important part of the discovery was a collection of artifacts, including a unique graphite button, possibly used to fasten a garment or bag. An international team of scientists conducted a thorough examination of the artifacts. During the work, traces of the use of stone tools on animal bones were discovered, which indicates the activity of people of that era. This discovery confirms the hypothesis of the migration of anatomically modern people to this region. Message from space. The Inga River in Brazil is home to the mysterious Inga stone in the state of Paraíba, causing much controversy in the archaeological community. Unknown geometric symbols are carved into the surface of this 46-meter-high gneiss stone. The origin and meaning of these symbols has not yet been revealed. Do you think they indicate a forgotten civilization, or are they a message from the ancestors? This stone is at least 6,000 years old. There are other stones and caves with carvings nearby, but they are not that interesting. Archaeologist Gabriele Beraldi discovered the first Inga cave in 1988. In total, he examined 497 symbols on the walls of the caves. Most of them are mysterious, but some undoubtedly depict space objects such as the Milky Way and the constellation Orion. Some scientists see in them similarities with ancient Phoenician and Egyptian writings, others with runes. The study of the symbols showed that they may be associated with ancient beliefs, for example, with the cult of fertility. One researcher has suggested that the Inga stone may contain an ancient solar calendar. Other hypotheses involve contact with extraterrestrial civilizations or even ancient formulas or mathematical equations. Ancient city in Micronesia. This amazing complex is built on artificial islands that are connected by a network of canals, which is why it is often called the Venice of the Pacific. The complex includes about 100 artificial islets. The islands were created from massive basalt blocks, laid in such a way as to form walls, platforms, and buildings. Each structure is surrounded by water channels, which makes this place even more mysterious and impressive. The age of Nan Madol is estimated at about 1,500 years, but some studies indicate that the first buildings could have appeared much earlier. Archaeologists suggest that the construction of this complex began at the end of the first millennium AD, possibly under the leadership of local rulers, the Saudeleur dynasty, who used Nan Madol as a ceremonial and administrative center. The main mystery of Nan Madol is how the inhabitants of the island of Ponape were able to build such a complex and massive city with limited technology and resources. Each basalt block used in the construction weighs from several hundred kilograms to several tons. Transporting and installing such heavy blocks would have required considerable effort and knowledge. The basalt was quarried on the other side of the island, which meant it had to be transported across difficult terrain and water. Considering that the ancient builders did not have modern technology, this feat seems almost impossible. Some researchers suggest that the stone blocks could have been transported using rafts and ropes, while others point to the possible use of a system of levers and ramps. However, none of these theories fully explain how the ancient Micronesians managed to lay and align these massive structures so precisely. Nan Madol is also surrounded by many legends and myths. Locals believe that the city has magical properties and that it was built using supernatural forces. Some myths claim that Nan Madol was home to spirits and was used for rituals related to ancestor worship. To this day, this ancient city inspires awe and respect among the inhabitants of Ponape, and they avoid visiting Nan Madol after sunset, considering it a place of residence of spirits. Living doll. In 1877, Thomas Edison created something unique and unusual, a talking doll which became one of his most extraordinary inventions. Weighing less than 2 kilograms with a porcelain head and wooden limbs, this doll contained a miniature version of a phonograph that could produce sound by turning a knob. But instead of becoming a charming entertainment, it caused many people to be rather alarmed by its unusual feature. Edison presented his invention as the latest electric fad, capable of speaking phrases or singing songs thanks to a phonograph built into its torso. To record the sounds, a team of women was brought in to record various phrases and melodies, but unfortunately the dolls turned out to be not as durable as expected and could not withstand the active play of children, which often led to breakdown of the mechanism. In 1889, Edison faced complaints about the fragility of the wax plates used, which confirmed the need to refine the design to increase its reliability. However, production turned out to be unprofitable, and by 1890 costs exceeded $50,000, forcing the Edison Phonograph Toy Manufacturing Company to discontinue production of these dolls. Edison's failure in this direction did not in any way affect public opinion, since even with the high cost of dolls, many would prefer to spend money on other toys. Interestingly, the scary image of a talking doll may have inspired many horror stories and creepypastas where sinister dolls became central characters. Guardian statues. A joint Cambodian-Chinese team has been excavating the entrance gate to the royal palace, built in the 11th century for the kings of the Khmer Empire. The palace is part of the Angkor Thom complex, which includes the famous Angkor Wat Temple. During the excavations, archaeologists discovered 12 ancient guardian statues made of sandstone. The figures, created around the 11th century, were previously placed on top of the gate in 2 rows. Each statue is unique in size and detail and stands at least a meter tall. Photos show the statues as standing figures, some holding a staff in their right hand, surrounded by elaborate decorative elements around their heads. The condition of the statues varies, with some remaining almost intact and others cracked and worn by time. According to archaeologists, the Angkor Thom Palace was regularly modified during the 600 years of rule by various Khmer kings. The team plans to clean and restore the statues to return them to their original locations. Ruled even after death. The Incas had a unique attitude towards their deceased rulers, considering them not simply as deceased, but as continuing to live and rule even after death. The mummies of the rulers were preserved and revered as if they were alive, possessing their own lands and wealth. Surprisingly, the domains of such mummies continued to be managed by their servants, and the mummies themselves participated in important rituals and even meetings. These rulers were believed to be able to give advice and influence the life of society while remaining the eternal masters of their lands. Over time, this created difficulties, as large areas ended up under the control of the dead, which interfered with the distribution of resources and the management of lands among the living. This influence of the mummies of the rulers became a challenge for Inca society, especially in a context of limited resources. The Incas tried to maintain a balance between the veneration of ancestors and the needs of the living, which makes their culture unique and deeply symbolic. This phenomenon highlights how closely spiritual and practical life were intertwined among the Incas.
Hidden burial chamber. While cleaning a 3,900-year-old tomb in Egypt, archaeologists have discovered a hidden burial chamber. The work was carried out in the ancient tomb of Jefi Hapi in Asyut. According to a statement from Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, a team of Egyptian and German archaeologists discovered the chamber while following a shaft about 15 meters deep. Inside the small rectangular chamber, archaeologists found 2 ornate wooden sarcophagi nested inside each other. They belonged to a woman named Edi, the only daughter of Jefi Hapi, an important Namarch of Asyut province who lived around 1900 BC under Pharaoh Senusret I. Photos show the colorful sarcophagus in good condition. However, the chamber was robbed in ancient times, the mummy was damaged, and the mummification vessels were destroyed. Despite this, archaeologists found some parts of Edi's remains, the lid of the sarcophagus, and carved figures. Preliminary analysis suggests that Edi died young, probably before age 40, and suffered from a congenital foot defect. The rock-cut tomb of Jefi Hapi is considered the largest privately owned tomb from the Middle Kingdom. Burial of people with the remains of an ancient banquet. Archaeologists in Wales have discovered a unique early medieval cemetery near an airport containing the burials of women in curled positions dating back to around 500 AD. The bodies were oriented facing south, which indicates specific burial rites. Along with the human remains, fragments of processed animal bones and pieces of expensive imported glass vessels were found, indicating that the site was used not only for burials, but also for ritual feasts. There may be about 80 burials on the grounds of the Château de Faumont, where the cemetery is located. Of these, 18 were examined, 4 of which were found in unusual positions. Archaeologists note that the discovery of many bodies buried on their sides in curled positions and oriented to the south indicates the possibility of carrying out a certain funeral ritual. It is interesting that all such burials belong to women. The found fragments of glass vessels came from Western France. Traces of cutting and preparation were found on the animal bones, which confirms the hypothesis about the ritual nature of the feasts, possibly in honor of the dead.
Holy water from an air conditioner. A funny incident occurred in the Indian temple of Sri Banke Bihari in Vrindavan, which could have happened anywhere, but it is especially striking in a country with hundreds of gods and temples for every occasion. Devotees crowded around a statue of an elephant from which water was dripping. They decided that this was holy water from the feet of Krishna. However, in reality, the water was simply condensation dripping from the air conditioner cooling the temple. For people who had never encountered air conditioners, this explanation was insufficient. Devotees continued to claim that this was the same nectar from the lotus feet of Krishna that the temple servants collect every morning when washing the divine feet. The temple even had to issue an official statement to dispel the myth and warn people against drinking this water. The danger of such water is that fungi and bacteria can form in the air conditioning system, which easily get into the drops. This could lead to infections. But it is worth noting that Indian stomachs are accustomed to unfavorable conditions. Otherwise, they would not be able to buy food at street markets. When this incident was reported on television, believers even took offense at the temple management for not warning them earlier. But how can you convince someone who already believes? It is an almost impossible task.
Mythical figurines. In ancient Pompeii, archaeologists have found 13 terracotta figurines that may reflect the myth of the goddess Cybele and Attis, known for her tragic love story, jealousy, and the idea of rebirth. These figurines were discovered in a house named after the fresco Leda and the Swan, which depicts Zeus as a swan and Leda. The figurines were found under 2 meters of pumice, and scientists believe they may depict the ancient myth of Cybele and Attis, which originated in Phrygia, present-day Turkey, and was popular in ancient Greek and Roman cultures. In this story, Cybele falls in love with the young Attis, but his love for another causes her jealousy, as a result of which Attis falls into madness and loses his life under the pine tree. After this, Cybele asks the gods to turn Attis into a pine tree with violets, symbolizing eternal life and renewal. This myth is often interpreted as a symbol of the cyclical nature of life. Escape tunnels. Archaeologists have discovered secret tunnels in the Alps that were used to evacuate the top Nazi leadership. These underground structures carved out of the rock are astonishing in their sophistication and scale. Researchers believe that the tunnels were part of a carefully planned network designed to provide a secret escape route in the event of the collapse of the Third Reich. Newly discovered documents and drawings confirm this. The routes passed through inaccessible areas of the Alps, which would have allowed the Nazi leaders to evade detection and pursuit. Archaeological finds include ventilation shafts, hidden exits, and small supply depots, indicating extensive preparation for a possible evacuation. These tunnels could have played a major role in the fate of the Nazi elite if the events of World War II had taken a different turn. New Mayan ruins. Archaeologists are finding more and more Mayan ruins thanks to new technologies and satellites that help to detect structures hidden under dense forests. As Texas Tech University archaeology professor Brett Houck told a NASA conference, scientists have discovered more Mayan sites in the last 10 years than in the previous 150 years. The main tool that helps in this is LiDAR, laser scanning technology. LiDAR allows you to see through dense forest vegetation and reveal structures that were previously hidden. With the help of this technology, archaeologists are finding more and more ruins in what is now Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. One such project is a study in northeastern Belize, where a team of scientists is studying an area of 650 square kilometers. In just a few days, scientists have discovered 28 new large sites. The technologies of the past used by the Maya to manage water and farm may still be useful today. Tim Murtha of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte noted that the Maya adapted to changing climate conditions by creating systems of terraces and reservoirs to combat droughts. These ancient techniques may hold important lessons for today's changing climate. Mummy Hannah Beswick. The fear of being buried alive is not just myths and legends. Taphophobia, or the fear of premature burial, troubled the minds of many famous personalities such as Chopin and Gogol. However, the story of Hannah Beswick, an 18th century resident of Failsworth, is particularly striking. Hannah was shocked by the incident of her brother John, who miraculously escaped being buried alive. He was found in a lethargic sleep during his own burial. This incident had such an impact on Hannah that she resorted to unusual measures to protect herself from a similar fate. She turned to Dr. Charles White to verify her true death before burial. Dr. White, known for his interest in pathological anatomy, made the unusual decision to embalm Hannah's body. He removed all the internal organs and replaced them with a preservative mixture. In this way, he ensured that Hannah would not come to life in the coffin. However, after Hannah's death in 1758, her body was not buried. Rumors said that Dr. White used the money left for the funeral for his own purposes.
Hannah's body was kept for a long time in an unusual package, the case of a large wall clock, and was subsequently transferred to the Manchester Natural History Museum. Only more than 100 years after her death, in 1868, Hannah Beswick was declared dead and buried in Manchester Cemetery. Interestingly, after her burial, many claimed to have seen her ghost, but it did not harm anyone.
Oldest medicines. Recent discoveries at the Grotte de Pigeon cave in Tafourelt, Morocco, are changing our understanding of ancient medicine. Researchers have found evidence of herbal medicine dating back 15,000 years. Of particular interest is ephedra, a plant used in traditional Chinese medicine to treat asthma, bronchitis, and colds. The study is based on macrofossils found in late Pleistocene layers. Grotte de Pigeon is known as North Africa's oldest cemetery, containing 34 skeletons of Stone Age hunter-gatherers. Ephedra found in ritual burials has powerful healing properties, including epinephrine and pseudoepinephrine, which help with nasal congestion and stimulate the nervous system. Preserved ephedra fruits found in the cave indicate its use to relieve pain and stop bleeding during craniotomy, a 150,000-year-old procedure considered one of the oldest in the world. The cave is also known for its ritual tooth extraction, a painful ceremony marking the passage into adulthood. Ephedra likely helped relieve pain and bleeding, demonstrating its importance in the cultural traditions of the ancient inhabitants. These discoveries confirm that humans already had a deep knowledge of the properties of plants 15,000 years ago, skillfully using them for both medicinal and ritual purposes long before the Neolithic period.
The mystery of the plush swan. Archaeologists believe that a felt figurine of a swan created in the Iron Age symbolized life. This artifact, known as the Pazyryk swan, was made of reindeer felt and stuffed with reindeer hair. The figurine belongs to the Pazyryk culture, associated with the nomadic peoples of the Saka group, which was considered the eastern branch of the Scythians. The swan is estimated to be 2,400 years old. It was found in the Pazyryk Valley in the Altai Mountains near the borders of Russia, Kazakhstan, China, and Mongolia. The figurine is about 30 centimeters tall. The swan's body was made of white felt, the eyes and wingtips were made of black felt, and the legs were made of a reddish-brown material. To make the swan stand upright, wooden sticks were inserted into its legs. It is believed that the figurine could have been mounted on a chariot or a tent-like structure that collapsed over time. The swan probably symbolized life in three spheres: air, earth, and water. Researchers note that images of waterfowl, such as swans and ducks, are often found in creation myths among ancient peoples. Excavations in Pazyryk began in the 1920s, but the swan figurine was found only in 1949. The unique preservation of this and other organic objects is explained by the peculiarities of the local climate. Many burial mounds are located in the permafrost zone, which allows artifacts to remain virtually untouched for centuries. Lampshade from Buchenwald. In April 1945, when the United States liberated the Buchenwald concentration camp, Karl Straub, a political prisoner, discovered a lampshade made of human skin in the house of SS officers. From then until 1990, during the GDR era, the lampshade was displayed in a museum located on the site of the former camp, becoming a symbol of Nazi horror. It was later removed from public display, sparking controversy over its origin, whether it was actually leather or plastic. Recently, a conference was held at the Buchenwald Museum with the participation of Mark Benecke, a criminal biologist who, after a detailed examination, confirmed that the lampshade was made of human skin. The museum emphasized that although the display of human remains at exhibitions is contrary to ethical standards, they preserve such exhibits in the collection as evidence of Nazi crimes. Engineering miracle in Egypt. Ancient Egypt continues to amaze modern researchers again. This time, an amazing tunnel was discovered under a temple in the ancient city of Taposiris Magna, which experts call a geometric miracle. The tunnel was found at a depth of 13 meters. Its length is 1305 meters, and its height is about 2 meters. It is carved into sandstone and resembles the famous Eupalinos tunnel on the Greek island of Samos, which is considered an engineering miracle. The exact purpose of the tunnel is still unknown, but some of its parts are flooded with water. Archaeologist Martinez, who has been searching for the lost tomb of Cleopatra VII since 2004, believes that the tunnel may lead to important discoveries. Taposiris Magna was founded around 280 BC by Ptolemy II, one of Cleopatra's ancestors. Archaeologists believe the temple was dedicated to Osiris and Isis, deities with whom Cleopatra was closely associated. The team also plans to explore the Mediterranean Sea, as a series of earthquakes between 320 and 1303 caused part of the temple to collapse into the water. In my previous videos, I described how tunnels were discovered connecting Lake Mariu to the Mediterranean.
Letter from a Babylonian schoolboy. A tablet written by Idin Sin for his mother Zenu in the city of Larsa in the 18th century BC is a unique testimony to the reign of Hammurabi. This artifact, housed in the Louvre Museum in Paris under the number TCL 18111, is written in Akkadian. Idin Sin expresses disappointment in a letter to his mother over the quality of the clothes she sent him. He compares his clothes to those of his peers and repeatedly tries to make his mother feel guilty, hoping that she will send him a new outfit. Idin Sin writes, "May the gods Shamash, Marduk, and Illabrat protect you for my sake. The clothes of the young people here are improving every year, and you are allowing mine to become worse. You made me bad clothes, although the son of Adad Idin, the son of my father's assistant, has 2 sets of beautiful clothes. Despite the fact that you are my birth mother and he was just adopted, his mother loves him, but you don't." This letter shows that the problems and experiences of teenagers have remained the same for thousands of years, despite changing eras and cultures.
Something alive behind the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China, built during the Ming Dynasty between 1368 and 1644 and spanning more than 21,000 kilometers, continues to amaze scientists. Over the past 5 centuries, approximately a third of the wall has been destroyed, but much of the structure still stands. The study showed that living cement plays a key role in maintaining its strength. Compacted earth, including soil and gravel, was used during construction. New research has found that the wall's strength is affected by biocrust, a layer created by the growth of cyanobacteria, mosses, and lichens. These organisms form a structure similar to cement, increasing the wall's resistance to erosion and damage. Of the 8 Ming wall sections studied, 67% contained biocrusts. By comparing the strength and stability of rammed earth with biocrust, scientists found that it significantly reduced porosity and salinity, reducing erosion and increased compressive and shear strength. This living cement appears to make the Great Wall more resilient to climate change and natural wear and tear, highlighting the importance of biological processes in preserving historical sites.
Lard from World War II. For decades after heavy storms, the sea on St. Cyrus Beach in Scotland has periodically washed up with lard, which ended up at sea due to the sinking of a ship during the Second World War. Recently, the waves washed up 4 more pieces of lard, each one retaining the shape of the barrels in which they were probably stored all those years ago. These unusual relics became known to locals after the merchant ship carrying the lard was sunk by bombs. It is believed that with each new storm, the wreck gradually releases some of its cargo, washing up on the shore in fatty blocks. Locals are familiar with this phenomenon and claim that the lard, despite the crust of barnacles that covers it, is in good condition and is suitable for use. During the war, when access to lard was limited, such finds became real treasures, helping people survive difficult times. Ruins of an ancient civilization underwater. In the early 2000s, a team of researchers led by the Canadian company Advanced Digital Communications made a sensational discovery off the coast of Cuba. At a depth of about 750 meters, strange structures resembling stone structures were discovered on the ocean floor. These structures looked like organized rows of giant stone blocks, some of which had a regular rectangular shape and resembled massive walls or pyramidal structures. The initial results of underwater research carried out using modern sonar led to the hypothesis of the possible existence of a sunken city that could have been absorbed by the ocean tens of thousands of years ago. According to some estimates, the age of these ruins may exceed 50,000 years, which is significantly older than the earliest known civilizations, such as Sumer and ancient Egypt. This makes the possible discovery even more intriguing since it suggests the existence of ancient and possibly highly developed cultures that science does not yet know anything about. Some scientists believe that these ruins may represent the remains of an ancient city built before the last ice age when the ocean level was much lower.
There is a suggestion that this area may have been inhabited by ancient peoples who were later forced to leave their homes due to rising sea levels. This hypothesis finds support among supporters of the theory of the existence of ancient sunken continents, such as Atlantis, described in the works of Plato. Some geologists suggest that these formations may be the result of natural geological processes such as erosion, earthquakes, and other movements of the Earth's crust. Further research and analysis of the underwater ruins off the coast of Cuba will require significant resources and time. Let's hope that the authorities will find the funds to study these ancient ruins. Ancient fortress in an oasis. In the Khaybar Oasis, in the desert of Saudi Arabia, scientists have discovered an ancient fortress wall dating back more than 4,000 years. This gigantic structure is 14.5 kilometers long and 5 meters high, with about 180 bastions, of which only 5.9 kilometers of wall and 74 bastions are still preserved. Radiocarbon dating of coal remains from the excavation site indicates a period between 2250 and 1950 BC. Remains of ceramics were found on the wall, which confirms its antiquity. This wall, as archaeologists suggest, was used for several centuries, after which it was abandoned. The wall supposedly served to protect against raids by nomads, mark the boundaries of the territory, and protect against floods. This indicates the transition of the local population to a sedentary lifestyle. The construction of such a gigantic wall required significant resources. About 250 people worked on it for 4 years, using 164,000 cubic meters of stone and brick. The discovery of the wall was possible thanks to satellite images, which opens up new horizons for archaeological research.
Daniel Sickles' limb and its adventures. One of the most famous exhibits at the National Museum of Health and Medicine in Washington is the fragments of General Daniel Sickles' leg, a participant in the American Civil War. This exhibit attracts the attention of not only visitors, but also Sickles himself, who repeatedly came to the museum to see his loss and impress his friends, including Mark Twain. Daniel Sickles, a controversial and scandalous figure, was born in New York and made a successful career in law and politics. His life was full of high-profile events, including his marriage to Teresa Baggioli, who was half his age. Sickles did not hide his affairs, once even bringing a prostitute to a meeting of the state assembly. In a dramatic twist, his wife cheated on him with District Attorney Philip Barton Key. Upon learning of the affair, Sickles shot Key right in front of the White House. The trial was a sensation. Sickles defended himself with temporary insanity, the first time this was used as a defense, and successfully. In 1863, as a major general, Sickles fought in the Battle of Gettysburg, where he moved his corps forward against orders. This decision resulted in heavy losses, and he himself lost a leg due to a cannonball. The amputated limb was transferred to the museum in a special box and became one of the central exhibits. Sickles not only did not leave his career, but also returned to politics. He lived a long life and died at the age of 94 in 1914. His leg is still on display in the museum, a reminder of his bright and eventful life. Many thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end, and especially to the ones who shared it with their friends. Write in the comments, which of these discoveries impressed you the most? Thanks for watching. Bye everyone.